We may be witnessing the beginning of an era that will mean the complete annihilation of man.
Annihilation?
The beginning of the end.
A menace so massive, so overwhelming, that thousands upon thousands are propelled into senseless terror. Panic takes the place of planned evacuation, and whole cities are paralyzed by fear.
The Air Force is standing by with an atom bomb.
You can't drop an atom bomb on Chicago.
The following is a paid advertisement. Really? A paid advertisement? Wait, the B-Movie Cast got paid? Yes, the following is a paid advertisement. This episode of the B-Movie Cast is brought to you by the estate planning services of Twyla Minear Brooks, attorney at law. Remember, when the zombie apocalypse comes, things will move pretty fast.
The body should be disposed of at once, preferably by cremation.
Well, how long after death, then, does the body become reactivated?
It's only a matter of minutes.
Minutes? Well, that doesn't give people time to make any arrangements.
Oh, you're right. It doesn't give them time to make funeral arrangements. The bodies must be carried to the street and burned. They must be burned immediately. Soak them with gasoline and burn them. The bereaved will have to forego the dubious comforts that a funeral service will give. They're just dead flesh and dangerous.
So don't leave your estate planning needs until the last minute, because you don't know when that last minute could come. Call Twyla Minear Brooks, attorney at law, at 859-351-2294. That's 859-351-2294. Remember, when you go, you don't want people saying,
"Yeah, they're dead. They're all messed up."
Twyla Minear Brooks, attorney at law, is licensed for practice in the state of Kentucky. Consult your local attorney for matters outside of the state of Kentucky.
Command mark. The time will be running at X minus 20 seconds. Mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Fire.
Spawned by the continuing decline and fall of society as we know it, and created on the second-floor spare-bedroom studio in the Piedmont of South Carolina. Podcasting on a shoestring budget and changing the world one freak at a time. It's the B-Movie Cast with your host, Vince Rotolo.
From coast to coast and worldwide via the internet, this is the B-Movie Cast, the podcast of unusual film and television.
Hi, guys, and welcome back once again to the B-Movie Clubhouse for episode 519 of the B-Movie Cast. Before I go any farther, I want to get our contact information out of the way. We love hearing from all of you, so we have a feedback segment devoted to your comments and suggestions, and this is how you can contact us. Option 1, pick up your phone and dial 888-936-0808. This is a toll-free number and a very easy way to leave a voice message. Option 2, you can make your own MP3 file and send it in to bmoviecast@gmail.com. Or use your smartphone voice software and record a call, then just send that in as an attachment instead. Or option 3, if you're not into talking, you can just shoot us an email to bmoviecast@gmail.com. Our website is bmoviecast.com, where you can subscribe to the podcast. It's free, and there you can join us on the Facebook B-Moviecast fan page and letterbox. Also, you can play the contest by sending in your answer by email to bmoviecast@gmail.com with contest in the subject line. And check out the links while you're there, or buy a t-shirt. I currently have smalls to 4Xs. If you want to help us financially, there's a donation box you can click on as a supporter on the Lugosi, Karloff, Agar, and the infamous Xanadu level through PayPal. Also, the easiest way to donate is to click on the Amazon bar on the right side of our homepage. This Amazon link will take you to Amazon.com to make your purchase. It doesn't cost you anything, and you can still log into your personal accounts when you get there. It's completely private, so think about us before you buy online. So now, through the miracle of modern technology and thousands of miles of wires, server farms, PCs, Macs, the internet, and duct tape, we have our co-host from Lexington, Kentucky, author, editor, screenwriter, film producer, Nick Brown. He has a new website. It is authornickbrown.com. That's AUTHORNICBROWN.com. He is the author of the Werewolf for Hire book series, starting with Blood Curse. He's also selling a book in collaboration with his wife, Fiona, the B-Movie Cookbook. All of these are available on Amazon. He's produced 2 movies, Wretch and Loss Prevention. Both can be ordered on Blu-rays or DVDs through Amazon. He is also the producer of a 3rd film, Fall of Usher. Our guest host today is Bill Mize, who is a former podcaster and the host of Bill Watches Movies podcast. Having seen the folly of his ways, he now bides his time as a retiree in a small town in Kentucky, where he passes the time drinking ale-8 sodas, eating beer cheese, volunteering at his local church, playing the Call of Cthulhu tabletop role-playing game with his friends online, and occasionally venturing out of state to attend conventions and see old friends. He's also occasionally called out of podcasting retirement to appear on other podcasts, but cannot imagine why. There are other creative endeavors in the works, but that's another story for another day. Oh, he also hangs out with Nick and his wife Fiona, which is a perfectly fine way to pass the time on a beautiful Kentucky evening. Our movie today is Beginning of the End from 1957, directed and produced by the great Bert I. Gordon, Mr. Big himself. I adore these atomic monsters and giant bug movies from the 50s. I just think they're great. I know there's a massive problem with this one. You know, with
is that a pun, Mary?
No.
The massive problem with the giant insects.
It was unintentional. I'm sorry.
I just like that I'm kind of carving out my own niche here within the B movie guest host clubhouse, because the previous one was the giant Gila monster. Now it's the beginning of the end, so I want to be called for giant spider invasion, them, giant mantas, anything else in the large atomic insect or animal era. I expect my name to be number 1 on the Rolodex.
Okay.
See, now you're going to some of those, and I think we've already done them, but sticking with Mr. Bert I. Gordon, God love him, in the 70s, he found his second wind.
He did.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we had, what was it? Empire of the Ants and Food of the Gods. And I actually did those in reverse order for release, but still.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, this one, it had its problems. I mean, the man had absolutely no budget to work with, so, you know, I have to cut him a break. But I love it. It has a giant grasshoppers falling off of buildings, giant big old 1950s cars, giant hairstyles, and like every character actor in the country, especially if they were like military guys.
We have a giant camera the size of a microwave. We have the first appearance of a car phone.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah,
I was
cool.
shocked when she beep-booped that thing and reached down into the console there.
I know. She must.
Well, you know, she was a reporter for the National Wire Service, so hey.
She's our plucky female photographer, Audrey Ames, National Wire Service.
You know, that's the one thing that I really hated about this movie was Peter Graves ends up being the hero at the end. But he's the one that started it with his whole genetic atomic engineering experiments.
They do kind of gloss that over, don't they?
The whole movie's him just kind of covering his ass.
Exactly.
He doesn't get sued into oblivion, or the agriculture department doesn't get defunded.
I know. And he never apologizes, and he never gives that reporter credit for putting it all together in the first place.
And, the body count was really high in this movie. The off-screen death count.
I know.
It was very high.
I know. He should be in prison
At one
now.
point, they trash Urbana, Illinois. I mean, Ludlow was...
They just kind of run through Ohio like Sherman through Atlanta.
Yeah.
Illinois.
It's like, okay.
Okay, what state was that? Isn't it Illinois?
It was Illinois.
Oh, okay, don't do that to me.
It's okay. Well, I kind of was hoping they'd detour over to Ohio just because.
Why?
Oh, good Lord, Mary.
Don't you know that Kentucky and Ohio are locked in a never-ending battle of sheer hatred for each other?
No, I did not.
I didn't either. I'm just making it up. Or
okay.
trying to start something, maybe.
Not completely wrong, but, that's neither here nor there.
I'm new to Kentucky. What the hell do I know?
Well,
okay. Well,
I know I actually like Columbus, Ohio.
I like Cincinnati.
It's a very nice town. Yeah, I know, right? That killed the conversation completely, me liking something, but...
You're dragging... You're harshing our buzz, man.
I'm sorry.
Anyway, I watched this thing on YouTube, and
Same.
I was really surprised when all those commercials started popping up.
They were every 5 minutes.
Exactly. And I even stopped the version I was watching and went on and found like an earlier one.
YouTube will find you.
And thought
they will find you.
Maybe the earlier one wouldn't have commercials in it. But when did they
They
start
all
doing
have
that?
commercials in them, Mary. That's why you subscribe to YouTube Premium.
Well,
and then you don't get the
if the
commercials.
channel has over 1,000 subscribers, they're monetized, and they can put ads as many as they want in there. So that's just them making the channel owner making money. That's all that is.
It's been a while since I've watched YouTube, but I don't remember those ads being in there before.
Well, that's because you never watch anything that anybody wants to watch.
Oh, okay. So it's not on all movies. It's just the certain ones.
It's just on ones that actually have people viewing them, Mary.
Okay.
So, and monetization. That's
are watching this movie?
Do what?
That many people are watching this movie?
Apparently so.
Wow. I'm impressed.
Well, and I'm Peter Graves. Hi, Peter Graves here.
Okay.
What?
That doesn't sound like Peter Graves.
It doesn't sound like Peter Graves at all, but I kind of don't care because I'm Peter Graves. And we're going to do Mission Impossible.
Ooh, let's start up the Peter Graves, the Mr. Briggs versus what was Mr. Phelps?
Yes.
Mission Impossible debate here.
Yeah. Well, you had him. And
the first guy was only on for one season, and he was actually fired because he was an Orthodox Jew and would not work on Fridays and Saturdays due to the Sabbath.
Yeah.
And he warned them, and they fired him anyway, and they found Peter Graves to take his place.
Are you making that up?
I am not making that up.
Oh, you
I
mean
am
the
a Mission
actual
Impossible
actor
fan.
wouldn't?
The actor would not work. He was a strict Orthodox Jew, and he observed the Sabbath, which is like dusk on Friday to dusk on Saturday, and he would not work. He would not, that's their thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they basically, he would leave the set early or he wouldn't report in, but he warned them in advance. I realize this is a slight derail, but it's interesting, especially these days. But Stephen Hill, he was a contemporary of Marlon Brando and one of the first people at the Actors Studio. And, most people remember him from Law and Order, I think it was, later on. Yeah. He started in Mission Impossible. He was in the very first season.
I don't remember that.
Mr. Briggs.
I never watched Mission Impossible very much. Is that the one where the tape recorder burns
Yeah.
up.
Yes,
And the
that was the
Lalo
one with the tape
Schifrin
recorder.
theme song. Yeah.
Yep, and the fuse would be burning during the
Yes.
credits. So,
Yep.
Yeah.
I won't
Yep.
hum a lot of it because we don't want to get the Mission Impossible lawyers down on us.
well, that's it. And
I
with,
know that the BB Movie Cast listening public is savvy enough, despite the hosts not watching Mission Impossible. I know that they are Mission Impossible fans, and they have my back on this one.
I grew up watching Mission Impossible. I don't know what you're talking about, dude, but
I'm insinuating Mary.
Yeah, well, that's okay. Well, we're just plain stating Mary doesn't watch it because Mary said, I never watched Mission Impossible. And I'm Peter Graves.
I think it was on. The family watched it, but I'd go off and do other things because it wasn't interesting to me.
How could you not want to watch Martin Landau, Barbara Bain?
What year was it?
It was the 60s, like
mid-60s, mid to early 60s, I think.
Yeah, 66, 67. Because it was all filmed in color, if I'm not mistaken. So it was mid to late 60s.
Okay. That explains it. I didn't like anything that wasn't like hippies and stuff.
Well, this was pretty
So
much
you were busy
the
watching the
opposite
Partridge
of
Family.
hippies.
Well, yeah, anything with colors and psychedelic stuff I'd like to watch, but stuff with government people in it, I didn't.
Bringing us back around to
Yeah, I was gonna
Mr.
say,
Big,
listen.
Yes.
I will mention that Bert I. Gordon was 34 years old when he made this movie.
Yes.
That's young.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is.
And he had not made, he didn't make that many movies, relatively speaking. I mean, he was cutting his teeth. I mean, he did Serpent Island in 54. And
Wait,
the
wait,
King
wait,
Dinosaur.
wait.
special effects
Before
guy?
we get into the movie, okay, before we start,
Yeah.
I want to wish everybody out there happy Thanksgiving. Although,
Why are you doing that? This
I
isn't going to be
know,
out till
it'll-
after Thanksgiving, Mary.
Happy
the hell?
belated Thanksgiving,
Stop it.
Mary is
Happy
saying.
belated Thanksgiving, and hopefully you have no grasshoppers or giant vegetables.
That you can't eat.
Huh? Yeah, well.
So should we be doing Attack of the Killer Tomatoes then?
Ooh, no, don't.
See,
do
that's a
that.
trick
No, let's
question
not.
because tomatoes are fruit.
I think that's even beyond our abilities.
To watch.
All right. Hey, Mary,
Yes.
before we start digging into all this good,
Yes,
giant animal, giant
Yes.
insect, giant radioactive whatever, do we want to do the contest?
Yes.
There you go.
Yes. But I do want to apologize to everybody for not doing casts lately a whole lot. Like, we've had a real big dry spell, and that's because it's mostly my fault. About a month ago, all my bank accounts and credit cards and debit card and email got hacked, and I'm still trying to get out from under all that paperwork and work. And thank you, Nick, for creating another Gmail account for me, because the bank wouldn't deal with me till I had another email account.
I forgot I did that.
Yeah, you did.
And also, gentle listeners, please do not use password 1234 as your password.
Yeah.
They seriously
Because
don't.
Mary's already using it.
Yeah,
So.
really don't use my password. I lost my home computer for a few days. I'd take it down to a local company, have it scanned and cleaned for viruses. I did find out that there's a virus that comes in on ads now. It's just one line of code that they bury in the ad. So the virus programs don't see it. And that's how it gets past your virus programs. And I'm really bad about clicking real fast on things, and my screen will scroll up or a pop-up will come up, and I end up clicking on ads, and I immediately click back off of them. But by then, I guess I got a virus, so that didn't help.
What we're learning is, Mary, that you really suck at using a computer.
Oh yeah, they're too slow for me. Yeah.
They're too slow for you?
Yeah, they load too slow. I'm like ready to get on with it, and they're like loading and thinking.
And you would think a 2800 baud modem would be fast enough for you.
I know. Well, maybe it's time to retire the Commodore 64, Mary.
No.
I'm just saying.
No. Can't do that. It's my beloved Windows computer. It's the only one left in the house. It's not Apple.
Okay, for the gentle listeners, Mary does not have a Commodore 64. She kind of blew through that like she was using one.
Well, because we used to have one in the old days.
Yeah, well, anybody who had computers had a Commodore 64, but that's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you were really swanky, you had the one with the tape recorder drive.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
Radio Shack TRS-80.
Oh, yeah. God, was that what those were? The Oh, yeah.
TRS-80s, yeah.
Yeah, Radio Shack. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think I'm one of the few remaining people who still has a desktop computer. But in my defense, I bought it. Vince built it for me. And it has all kind of... I do a lot of Photoshop and a lot of art and stuff on the computer, and I needed like really high-def screens and a lot of memory and all kind of extra stuff in there. So he built that for me, and that's the one I've been using for years. And if something goes bad, I just take it down to the computer shop and they fix it for me. But that's why I can't get rid of the desktop computer.
And it also has a lot of sentimental value to you.
No.
Oh, okay.
But it does have pretty blue lights in it. It lights up like a gaming computer. Anyway.
I was going to say,
how about
we
that
going?
contest?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that's like one of the main reasons why we haven't been putting out podcasts, because I've been kind of like overwhelmed with this stuff. I get some lung CAT scans, taking Kitty to the vet for arthritis shots, and going to an orthopedic surgeon, physical therapy. And like a week ago, a friend came over, and 4 days later, she tested positive for COVID, and her husband did. So I have now self-quarantined myself for Thanksgiving. So enjoy your turkey, people, because I'm going to be eating pizza. But we're back now. Nothing can,
Bring it on home, Mary. Bring it on home.
Nothing can keep the B-Movie cast down for long, so we'll get past it all. Yay!
Sorry, I was busy being drowned out by the sad violin playing for you.
It was either that or the Battle Hymn of the Republic. I really wasn't sure which one.
No, I'm going with the sad violin.
I just had too much stuff going on, and my brain was fried. So
contest, focus.
The Last Dinosaur, 1977.
You ding-dongs.
Yeah.
And if you've seen The Last Dinosaur, you would appreciate that. If you have not, I just called you a ding-dong for no good reason, but carry on.
Oh, that explains that email we got. Okay.
Oh, good Lord. Contest.
Okay. The first prize is a really cool Santito surprise package. Santitito. And it's a surprise to us. So let us know what goodies are in there and post them. And he gets really upset if you don't post pictures of his surprise package. So you might get on Santitito's naughty list if you don't post them. Anyway, the winner.
Ooh, I have a prize to give away too, Mary, but we'll do that afterwards. I just found one.
Oh, good.
But
Yay.
carry on.
Okay. The winner of... Ooh, okay.
Well, so
Santitito won his own package, so that saves on postage immediately.
Exactly. So,
okay, no, he didn't, Mary. Santitito just won my prize.
Oh, cool.
And are you ready for what you've won, Santitito?
Yes.
I'm very excited about this. I just found a mini one-sheet for Hobo with a Shotgun with Rutger Hauer, and it's signed by the writer-director.
Rutger Hauer.
No. I'm looking for the guy's name because I can't remember it. But I met him at the Texas Frightmare Weekend, and he gave me like 20 of these. And I gave away a bunch of them and then lost them. And then I just found some because I've been putting stuff away. Jason Eisner, written and directed by, and it is signed by him right at the spot where the barrel of the shotgun is firing.
Ooh, cool.
And this was one of Rutger Hauer's last films. It was not his last film, but it was towards the end.
He's dead?
Yes, Mary, he's dead.
Oh, okay.
The older we get, the more we ask that question.
Okay, now we're going to give away a San Diego surprise package.
And see, he's taken out of the running, so he can't win it again.
That's true.
And Nick gets rid of something that was stuffed under his desk.
Yes.
Well, wow, you called it exactly.
Oh. Okay, the winner is Don Falcos. Woohoo! Congratulations, Don. You just won the cool Santito surprise package. Okay.
Actually, that's a cool prize package.
Yeah,
That's not
really
quite
cool
as cool as a hobo with a shotgun mini one sheet, but you know.
Yes. Okay. This next prize is a Blu-ray from Phil Pine. It's Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid from 1969, starring Paul Newman, Robert Redford, and Catherine Ross.
That's a good movie.
And and that wonderful Burt Bacharach soundtrack. This DVD...
It's not as good as Hobo with a Shotgun.
This DVD contains commentary by director Roy Hill and lyricist Hal David. There's a documentary by director Robert Crawford Jr. and cinematographer Conrad Hall. It also features a documentary on the making of Butch Cassidy and a featurette on the Wild Bunch. And, of course, there's deleted scenes, teasers, and trailers. So the winner of this prize is... Paul White from Canada. So
you have to mail it internationally.
Yeah, thank you. I know. He actually moved to the States for a little while. Okay? And he did not win any prizes while he was in the States. Oh, no, seriously. He only wins them when he goes back up to Canada.
Hey, Mary.
Okay, the third prize, well, this would be the fourth one now, has been donated by Stan Ward. This is the 2012 New York Times bestseller, The Walking Dead, The Road to Woodbury, by Robert Kirkman and Jay Bonasinga. In this one, Philip Blake, the governor, sets up shop in Woodbury. And the winner is Dax Bradley. I hope you like The Walking Dead.
Who doesn't like The Walking Dead?
Well, I mean, reading about the book.
Well, that's true.
Some people don't like reading. So.
Yeah, Mary, who hasn't finished the book, I got her for her birthday.
It's underneath all that paperwork from the bank.
Yeah.
I will find it someday. Okay, our next prize has been donated by Patrick Kelly. It's the 1946 release of Bedlam, the American horror film directed by Mark Robson and starring Boris Karloff, Anna Lee, and Richard Fraser. It was the last in a series of stylish horror B films produced by Val Lewton for RKO Radio Pictures. In 1761 London, an asylum called Bedlam. It's set in 1761 London, and I just dropped all the balls on the floor.
Is Mary speaking English right now, Bill, or am I?
Are you having a stroke, Mary? Do you smell toast, burning toast? Do we need to call 911?
I can't pick a winner because all the balls.
I still don't understand a word she just said.
Maybe she's having a religious experience in speaking in tongues and snake handling and...
Yeah. Mary, are you snake handling right now?
It's a stroke.
We'll be right back to the movie cast.
Yeah.
Please stand by.
What have you been up to, Bill? How's everything going, man?
Okay, I got it.
Why is it I feel like we're in the credits of a Burt Reynolds movie?
Right. It's him and Dom DeLuise just making each other laugh.
Dom DeLuise cracking each other up.
Okay.
Focus, Mary. Focus.
It's set in London in an asylum called Bedlam.
What? Speak English, Mary.
It's set in 1761 London in an asylum called Bedlam. Neil Bowen, the protege of Lord Mortimer, wants to help change the conditions of the asylum. And excuse me, because I have to go crawl on the floor and get the balls that rolled out of the bucket.
Mary,
we need one of those things where they flash up technical difficulties on the screen and then start playing hold music.
Hey, Mary, the balls will be there after the show. You can just leave them. I think this is the last prize, isn't it?
Yes, it is, but I had to pick a ball. Okay.
Stop playing with the balls, Mary.
And the winner of this one is Joe Galena. So congratulations, you've won the DVD of Bedlam. Okay, I can, breathe.
Okay, take a second, Mary. Relax. Oh, good Lord.
It's going to be a night, man.
Have they legalized mushrooms in Irmo or something, Mary? What's going on?
I think I forgot how to do these.
Mushrooms? That's pretty simple.
It's pretty easy, I think. You just eat them. I don't know.
You just eat them, Mary.
Okay.
Well, what she has forgotten, ladies and gentlemen, is that she has to be pointing towards the microphone when she talks.
I'm still chasing balls around the room.
That's what
Mary, your personal life has nothing to do with this.
We're going to be here a while.
So we've given away a lot of stuff. That's fantastic.
Yes, we're done with the giveaway.
Who's Bert I. Gordon? I've never heard of him.
Well,
Nick, would you like to tell us who Bert I. Gordon is while Mary puts herself on hold and calms herself down?
I have the autobiographical journey by Bert I. Gordon in front of me.
I guess not.
The amazing,
but you probably haven't read
world
it.
Of Mr. Big. No, well, when I need to.
I knew it. Have you read it, Mary?
When we do a movie of his, I pull it back out again.
You pull it out, and do you read it?
Well, yeah.
Okay, have you read it?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
The entire book or just the entry for this movie?
The entry for this movie. Well,
okay.
It slows you down when you move your mouth when you read, Mary.
I've read quite a bit of it, but not
don't get offended to me.
Not all of it. Okay. He has a really cool story in it. He was flying to Chicago because they were going to do the Chicago scenes. First unit was already there. No.
That's not a great story so far, Mary.
Man, this is no hero's journey story for sure.
Okay.
Daggone, woman.
He's on his way to Chicago.
Mary, check the house. Is there a gas leak or something?
Oh, Lord. Okay, he's on his way to Chicago. He gets on the flight to go to Chicago, and he's there, but his filming guy didn't come.
You mean the cinematographer?
His assistant cameraman hadn't arrived, which wouldn't have been bad because they could have just hired another cameraman when they got to Chicago. But I get this is in days before cell phones and being able to get in touch with people real quick. And the guy also didn't know what hotel they were staying at in Chicago, so he wouldn't be able to find them if he took a later flight. And he had the camera, the films, the screenplays, and all of it was with him. So the plane's backing away from the loading ramp, and he's like pleading. Mr. Biggs pleading with the stewardess, please don't take off yet. I'm missing somebody. And she went on and on, we can't stop the flight, and we can't, we have to. So they start pulling out from the loading ramp, and the stewardess said, it's too late. Return to your seat, buckle your seat belts. The only thing make our pilot return is if a passenger becomes ill and demands to get off the plane. So he actually said, stop the plane, I'm sick, I want to get off. They had to stop the plane, return to the loading ramp. As soon as the door opened, the assistant cameraman came in with all the equipment, and then he turned to the stewardess and said, oh, I'm okay, I'm feeling better now, I decided to stay on the plane for the flight. And then they flew to Chicago. Could you imagine if he did that now? They'd have him in prison.
He'd be pistol whipped by an air marshal within an inch of his life.
Yeah.
She says that, but I hope he does.
Yeah. I mean, he'd been thrown off the plane, arrested, and everything else if it, happened now.
Wow, you are very excited about the idea of somebody being pistol whipped.
I know. She said that with a little bit too much glee.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I just think it's funny that he liked to do movies about giant things, and his initials were big.
I know. Isn't that cool? Yeah.
That's very fortuitous.
And you know the whole story about the grasshoppers from Texas.
Tell us the story about the
grasshoppers.
Where they needed to be sexed and inspected before they crossed the line.
Yes.
Yes. Go for it, Mary. Tell us another scintillating story from Wikipedia.
This is from his autobiography, The Amazing Colossal Worlds of Mr. Big. They needed a bunch of them. And there was a horde of them in Texas. So they called Texas and got a whole bunch of, these stupid grasshoppers. And they had them. They were going to have them shipped. But like you said, they had to have them sexed because California was afraid that if they, sent males and females, then they'd have hordes of grasshoppers all over California. So they built this, they sent them finally, hordes of grasshoppers, locusts. And they built this big enclosure, a small enclosure. I mean, it's not that big. They're just grasshoppers anyway. It was an enclosure. They had all these bugs in there. And they're waiting in California to start shooting when they needed the bugs. And they're looking at it every day and they're wondering how the bugs are escaping because every day there's less and less grasshoppers in the cage that they specially built for them.
Oh, I know where this is going.
And that's how they found out that a bunch of male locusts stuck in a cage together get carnivorous, and they
become
ate each
cannibals.
other. Yes. So they ended up with like 8 or 10 at the end.
But they were really big.
They were.
Because they'd eaten all the rest of them.
Yeah. Well, see, I read online somewhere that he stuck him in a box somewhere, and he didn't stick him in a box. He literally built this container for them.
Called a box.
But they had to be special. They could be non-hopping, non-flying stunt grasshoppers.
Yes, this is true.
That could climb on pictures of buildings.
This is true, too.
Or if you lay them down, they just need to walk.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, he said he tried making them climb up something because he had thought about like building a 3D, miniature of the building, but they wouldn't climb up it. That's why he ended up using the picture. He didn't do it just to be cheap. He did it because he couldn't get the stupid grasshoppers.
Well, that's what you get for using non-union scab grasshoppers.
That's it. If he'd used unions,
professional union grasshoppers.
Oh.
Man, those union grasshoppers will do the job.
Exactly. Now they need a good 2-hour lunch, but they'll show up.
Yeah, but if they do have a line, you have to pay them extra.
True.
Well, I'm surprised.
So never have your grasshoppers talk.
And I'm surprised SAG didn't get after him because there were only male grasshoppers. They insisted on only
#MeToo grasshopper.
males. Yeah.
Oh wow. So we've gone there.
I did go there.
Anyway. So, don't diss him for making grasshoppers walk up a photograph. I mean, he really did try. He could not get the grasshoppers to walk up a building.
Hey, you know what? I'm going to say I don't diss him because he did a good job with the special effects available to him of the day.
Seriously, yes.
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 I mean,
he took a poster-sized photograph of the Wrigley building, and he mounted it on sheets of plywood. And then he just laid it on the floor, and the camera shot down at the grasshoppers. And then he had a hair blow dryer. That's how they, like, rounded up all the grasshoppers and made them move in the right direction. They just hit them with blow dryer.
I also think that he may have bribed the City of Chicago Chamber of Commerce. I've never heard so many location name drops. You know, when they were at the very end where they're running around amok and they're trying to drive them toward water. And it's like, oh, they're at the Wrigley building. Oh, they're at, Wrigley Field or,
He just needed extra time, extra footage, so.
I think so. There was definitely some, we need 12 more minutes to get it over an hour. Come on. There was definitely some padding going on because it's like, they start transmitting and, we don't know if that transmitter is going to work. And, I think I need to put my foot up on a desk and mansplain some more. And, this is scientific. Blondes don't understand science. We just here to take pictures and suddenly fall in love with Peter Graves.
Seriously, she was a really good, basically, detective.
She was great.
Yeah.
Did you notice that he didn't even come into like the first 30 minutes? It was predominantly a woman as a protagonist driven movie, and it was wonderful.
Yeah, it was.
That was unusual, and she did, Peggy Castle, she could carry it.
She was a very tragic figure, but she had the gravitas and, running around questioning all pawpaw generals and, making deals under the table for advanced knowledge and then backstabbing them and calling her editor. And she was a plucky little female photographer there. So, but it's like, did you notice that everyone knew who she was? Oh, I read your article in Life magazine. Oh, I read you in Highlights for Kids, or I read your Weekly Reader Book Club.
Yeah,
that's true.
In Korea, this was what 1957, I think. Yeah, and they mentioned Korea
57.
At least 3 times, or the Korean conflict at least 3 times.
I didn't even catch that.
That was the most recent thing going on then, I
imagine. They needed
so.
to make it timely, I think.
Yeah.
I didn't catch that part.
That's why I'm here, Mary.
Thank you.
Quality guesting. Quality. 5 pages of notes in front of me.
So why was she tragic?
Well, Peggy Castle, she was basically Miss Cheesecake. She was from mine and Nick's neck of the woods. She's from Appalachia. And, she died of alcoholism, unfortunately. She was married, I think, 3 times. But, she found her niche in television later on. She had a regular, slightly recurring role in Gunsmoke, which brings us to the Ken Curtis connection. If you remember, we had the Ken Curtis connection last time I was here on the giant Gila monster. Mm-hmm. So she was a beautiful woman, but she just a tragic figure in the way, she kind of went out. Because like we said, she was a beautiful woman. She could carry a movie. I think she could have done much better things. And I think she really would have gone up, taken any movie up a level, frankly.
Yeah, I do too. It is a shame.
For as limited as she was in her original career, I mean, she did a lot of movies in the 50s. Mm-hmm. That was the thing. She was just boom, 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 boom movies. I mean, she was doing 4 or 5 movies a year during the 50s. And, she jumped over to television. Mm-hmm. And her husbands were not exactly low key. I mean, she was marrying like producers and, what was it? She actually got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, I think, in the 60s. So, which that's one I'd like to go see because, not everybody gets a star.
That's true.
Well, that's it,
That's very true.
But yeah, she was a tragic figure. Not like the tragedy of Peter Graves.
Well, he wasn't tragic.
No, he wasn't. I was being sarcastic, Mary. I love Peter Graves.
Okay.
And by the way, the first thing I ever remember Peter Graves from was Airplane.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, because that's my ballywick. That's my age for that. I mean, yeah, I know he was in a lot of other stuff, but the thing that I really remember him from, first and foremost, is his role as Captain Over in Airplane.
Wow.
And Airplane 2, the sequel, but we don't really talk about
We do
that
not.
movie.
That does not exist on my planet. It's just
Yeah.
Airplane is its own movie.
Was it a comedy?
No,
Oh,
Mary,
my
it was
goodness.
a tragedy.
Was it?
Mary.
I don't remember it. It's been so many years since. What was the one? Oh, that's Airport. What was the one that was the comedy?
Airplane.
Okay.
And about this time, the Duke boys realized they was in trouble.
Go, kid.
Go, darn it. Okay, Mary.
Speaking of
Airplane.
hicks and hillbillies, I must also point out we have a Petticoat Junction, Green Acres connection as Mr. Ziffel himself.
Arnold Ziffel. I love him.
Arnold Ziffel's father has a nice little, I saw something. I heard something. I don't know. I'm going to go back to milking cows or whatever I do. And then it was wonderful to see him. I absolutely loved it.
I know.
Yeah.
Mr. Hank Patterson, ladies and gentlemen. Hank Patterson. No pigs were harmed during the filming of this movie.
No. He was
Well, and
great
it's funny,
in
he
that.
was in this because Giant Gila Monster also had the crotchety
Had
old
Shug.
dude.
Shug,
So.
But there was no Steamroller Smith cameo in this movie, which we
No,
really
there was
could have
not.
used a drunken disc jockey to really spice things up a bit. But we did have two teenagers necking in a hot rod that got crushed. So
This is true.
as
What
we
kind
said
of car was that?
previously, heavy petting leads to death. So
Yep.
We did say that previously.
yes,
Okay.
we did.
Yes, we have. Because remember the Giant Gila Monster? How did it start? Two kids necking in a
Necking
car.
in a hot rod.
Giant Gila Monster attacks.
So
See, when teenagers are necking in a car, to giant monsters, it's kind of like the creamy center
It's
of a
catnip
special
to giant
candy
monsters.
bar.
It's just like I get the feeling that two kids are totally making out somewhere. Let me go crush them.
Yeah. Well, and okay, I'm going to throw this out there too because that was actually very central to getting the plot going in this movie. I mean, it wasn't just a throwaway. Some movies they
that's
have the
true.
kids killed at the beginning and it's just a throwaway.
Yeah.
But much as it was one of the driving forces
It was
of
a
the
logical
plot,
sequence of events. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they had to find the crushed car. What kind of car was that? I want to know what kind of car that was.
Well, good luck, Mary.
Oh, somebody out in B-Movie Cast land, tell me what kind of car that was. I loved it.
I liked her car. That huge, I think it was a Chrysler or something like that. Huge, great white whale that she was steering around and talking on the phone and, putting her camera in the back seat. And,
Her
that
camera
thing was
taking up
huge,
the
and it was
entire back
wonderful.
seat.
Yeah, well,
That was a big camera.
yeah.
Size of a small microwave, yeah.
Oh, so was that phone.
I know.
Well-
I was very shocked, frankly, to see that. I was just like,
I was too.
I just, I was shocked. I did not, I thought that was kind of a 70s thing, but, Mr. Big, ahead of his time, pace
Yes.
setter,
Hey.
Yes.
early adopter.
Oh, by the way, that was a 1956 Chrysler New Yorker she was driving.
Nice.
Nice.
Wow.
Oh, well. Oh,
So who else was in
Arnold
this
Ziffel.
movie?
Yes.
When I read this, it's really cute. When he was doing Green Acres, he was already in his late 70s, and he was almost completely deaf. But the producers loved him so much, and while he was on Petticoat Junction too, I think Green Acres and both of them, and they loved him so much. But his hearing was so bad. And do you remember how he kind of had a stiffness to his voice, like it was a little bit out of sync? Like,
Was he
as if
reading
was-
cue cards or were they feeding him his lines?
They had a guy laying on the floor, a dialogue coach laying on the floor out of sight, tapping his leg with a yardstick as a cue for him to say his lines.
Aw. I like that story. That's heartwarming.
Yeah, it is. It is. And his great niece is Tia Leone.
Dang, that's awesome.
I know. I like her.
I like that whole Petticoat Junction, Green Acres, Beverly Hillbillies.
I know.
I love that whole kind of shared universe that they have.
Yeah.
The Petticoat Junction cinematic universe.
I was going to say, when did everything become that after Marvel took over? Well, I mean, you got the Mr. Big shared universe of all these giant things.
That's true.
The only thing we didn't see was like an advertisement for one of his other films in this one.
Yeah, that's true. He usually managed to slip something in, but
this was an early film, though, wasn't it?
True.
Yeah.
That's
he was
true.
just
I mean,
Mr. Medium size right now, as opposed to Mr. Big.
Yeah.
Well, he did King Dinosaur a couple of years before that, but his other big one that, no pun intended, that I love from that era was The Amazing Colossal Man.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, I have another good story about that one because it's in this book. It says while he was attending the funeral of the mother of one of the officers of the company, he met Jim Nicholson and Sam Arkoff of AIP.
Mm-hmm.
And Jim told him that they were familiar with his films and they were interested in doing something with him and asked if he had a story idea. So he said yes. And they agreed to meet in their office the next day. So, but he was just finishing, he was making Beginning of the End when this all happened. So he hadn't really even thought about his next project. So he did some really quick thinking and jotted some stuff down over dinner on a napkin. And he came up with 60-foot tall man of The Amazing Colossal Man. I mean, that's what it was. He just, that evening after they wanted a pitch from him, that evening he went to dinner and came up with The Amazing Colossal Man. And it's on a napkin.
Along with some pasta primavera sauce.
I think that's really cool. It's weird how stuff happens. Right place at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a napkin handy to write it down.
Well, considering he was at dinner. I wonder if it was cloth. They'd be really upset about that. Never mind.
Squirrel.
Don't make me start again.
So is there anybody else in the cast that we want to talk about?
Well...
Okay, I have a request of the B-movie audience.
Uh-oh.
The radio voice and the voiceover of the helicopter pilot, I've heard that voice from before.
Oh, come on.
It's a famous voiceover. I know it. And if you listen to it, if you just close your eyes and you listen, it's like it's from like Rocky and Bullwinkle or something something pop culture that we know. It's a famous voiceover or radio announcer, and I bet somebody out there knows it. I would love to, because I looked. I tried to find who it was, but there's something in
joking.
No, I'm not joking.
It's Paul Frees.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
that was
so
easy.
much for me offering a prize to anybody that...
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. That's great. Paul Frees.
Okay.
Yeah, because didn't he do like some of the Rankin Bass stuff as well?
Yeah.
You know, Year Without a Santa Claus, Rudolph, things of that nature. Wasn't Paul Frees heavy in that as well?
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah. He did tons of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good. Well, look who came up with the right answer.
I know. That's really
gosh, I'm kind of impressed all of a sudden.
I'm good at research. Can't remember it after I do it, but I'm good at it.
Well, and okay, can I just say this ties it all back around to the fact that earlier we were talking about The Last Dinosaur, which was a Rankin Bass film.
Oh,
nice.
right.
Tie together.
Yes.
I love it.
Yeah, see?
Ooh.
See, I always forget that Rankin Bass actually did live action stuff. I just think of them as Rudolph and the Hobbit.
Oh, absolutely. And I watch those every year. They're wonderful.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to talk about Morris Ancrum.
Okay.
He was
Herr General, yeah.
General John Hansen. Like, there's a whole bunch of these military men that I saw their faces and I knew them because these guys have been massive character actors forever.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
made so many movies and stuff under their belt. But he was an attorney and an economics professor, and then he switched careers to go into the theater. And when I see his face, I could see him as an attorney just scaring everybody to death in the courtroom. But anyway, for Mant, the movie within the movie in Matinee, 1993. Anybody see it?
I love that film, Mary.
Okay.
What do you mean, anybody
Goodman,
see it?
yeah.
That film's awesome.
Okay. Kevin McCarthy plays a character named General Ankrum. And that was director Joe Dante's tribute to Ankrum and the roles he played in his fondly remembered sci-fi films of the 1950s. I thought that was sweet.
By the way, for any listeners who have not seen Matinee, I highly recommend that you go out and, well, stream it, I guess. You aren't going to go out and rent it somewhere. But yeah, that movie it's a real love letter to the classics from the 50s and 60s.
Huh.
Definitely Atomic Era Monster Kids will love it.
Yeah.
We should do that one.
The whole character, oh God, who was the guy that played the film producer in it? It was
Don't make me look it up.
Well, anyway, he was a play on William Castle.
Oh.
And the idea that this guy would drive around with prints of his film, make a big deal out of showing it. And yeah, it was John Goodman. That's who it was. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And at the same time all this was going on, I think it was, and it's been a while since I've seen it, but I believe it was the Cuban Missile Crisis was going on. And this little town was in Florida. There was an Air Force base. So the whole idea was that there was a real threat of nuclear war. And at the same time, this kid was obsessed with seeing this new Mant movie.
Oh, okay. I want to see it now.
Well, you should. It's an excellent film. I highly recommend it.
Okay.
And I believe Shout Factory put out a special edition DVD, a Blu-ray of it a few years ago.
Wow. Okay. Well, if you want to see Morris Ankrum and other stuff, he's been in, Invaders from Mars. He's been in, Bonanza Rifleman Rawhide. I mean, all those television shows back in the 50s and 60s. And this is where I remembered him from. I kept seeing his face and thinking I couldn't place him. He played the judge on 22 episodes of Perry Mason. I used to love the Perry Mason show.
I love Perry Mason. Absolutely.
Yeah. So that was his face.
And Perry Mason had Raymond Burr. And Raymond Burr was in the Americanized version of Godzilla.
Mm-hmm.
Dun, dun, dun. Just tying things together to giant monsters.
Yes, you are.
Okay, I wondered where you were going with that one. Okay, I'll allow it.
Yeah, see, it's giant
I'll allow
monsters,
it.
man. Come on.
I'll allow that.
Oh, well, I'm glad you'll allow it. Thank you.
Oh. Okay, and the other guy is Thomas Brown Henry. He played Colonel Tom Sturgeon. He was another one of those staples from the 40s and 50s. A lot of those guys played either like military men or they were in cowboy movies for some reason.
There was a type for sure, yeah.
Well, there was a type, and also, let's face it, there were a lot of cowboy movies and cowboy TV shows in the 50s.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, you couldn't throw a rock without hitting a cowboy show.
That's true.
True.
And, I mean, okay, we want to tie it in. Peter Graves, who was Peter Graves' brother, Mary?
James Arness.
Matt Dillon, The Thing.
James Arness, that's correct, yes. Those were characters that James Arness played, Mary. But you know, we'll give you a C for effort.
See, that's the way my brain works. I have to go through that whole series. Usually it just, it doesn't come out of my mouth. I just think it, but
I think it's funny because why was Peter Graves and not Peter Arness?
I don't know that one.
Because he didn't want to, he'd adopted it as a stage name because he didn't want to be confused with his older brother, who was already doing stuff in Hollywood.
Yeah.
You know, so, because Arness, let's face it, that isn't exactly a common name. And so he figured he'd just do Graves because I think it had something to do with his mom's side of the family.
And I think Arness isn't really the exact spelling of the family name.
Well, it's Orness or something like that. I think it's Scandinavian. I don't remember, but
yeah. And they died like within a year of each other.
Yeah.
That's weird. And they were both in the, well, one was in the Army, one was in the Air Force.
That is true
World War
also.
II.
If I'm not mistaken, Peter Graves was in the Army.
Yes.
Yeah, because he was a corporal.
Yes.
So that means James Arness and I have something in common.
No, wait. Peter,
that's true.
Peter Graves was in the Army Air Force. James Arness was in the Army.
Okay.
I guess back then it was still called the Army Air Force.
Well, yeah, because at that time the Army Air Corps was what would
Yeah.
become
It didn't
the
become
Air
the Air
Force.
Force proper till 47.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Get that. And
So that's our connections to Bill Mize and,
7 Degrees of Bill Mize.
That's it.
Okay. See how you're connected to James Say. Wonder how you say his name. Seay. Say.
And who was he?
He was Captain James Barton.
Uh-huh.
And he was another one of those character actors that was in constant everything. Day the Earth Stood Still, When Worlds Collide, Killers from Space. He was an amazing Colossal Man. It seemed like Mr. Big used a lot of the same characters.
Because they all worked for the studio.
Well, that's true. Well,
was it still during the studio
studios a lot.
system, or was the studio system gone by then?
But you had this group of actors that would be, what's the best way to put it? Whenever they needed Army guys, these guys would show up.
Yeah.
Unless they were all doing a cowboy movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just had them on a group text, and it's like, I need a posse, or I need a, Army platoon, and they just all show up.
I feel like that's kind of the case.
Probably. I don't know how many casting places there were, but there probably weren't that many.
Well, let's also think about the budget, too.
Yes.
It was casting within a certain budget.
That's very
and
true.
a certain schedule for filming.
That's true. Well, Arnold Ziffel was in a lot of his movies because he was in Attack of the Puppet People, An Amazing Colossal Man, Earth versus the Spider, Tarantula, The Spider. He was in a lot of those.
Just to be specific, Arnold Ziffler was the pig, Mary.
Yeah, it was
Hank
Ziffel.
Patterson was the actor.
Arnold Ziffel.
Why is there a pig in all these movies?
No, Arnold Ziffel was
the pig.
Yeah.
Arnold was the pig's name. His he had an owner, he had a mom and a dad.
Okay, who was the owner's name?
The actor's name was Hank Patterson.
Hank. Well, no. What was Hank Patterson's name in those? Wasn't it Arnold?
Fred.
Oh,
Ziffel.
that's right. Fred
Yeah.
Ziffel.
Fred.
That's right. Okay.
I was wondering, why is there a pig in all these movies that Mary is listing? I'm pretty sure I've seen most of them.
I don't think I saw a pig. Maybe a
Well,
pig
it was the catering. It's craft services.
Oh.
Whoa.
Ew.
Hey-o.
And again, the other guy played Corporal Matthias. Richard Benedict. He was another character actor in a bunch of stuff. He was from in It, The Terror from Beyond Space. And Ocean's 11.
The original Ocean's 11, not the Clooney one, right?
Right.
No, this is the Saint Frank of Sinatra version.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Rat Pack. And then John Close was Major Everett. He was another character actor. Did all those same slime people, Deadly Mantis. Them. They, the earth stood still.
We're just going to go through all the supporting characters, actors, aren't we, Mary?
Why are we doing that, Mary? You give the exact
She's like, we got to
same
hit an hour and a half here. We're going to go through every supporting character, the assistant cameraman, the catering chef, the best boy, the key grip. We're going to go through all of them just to make this show longer.
Because I'd see them and I'd go, I recognize that person. Like so many of these.
And we've established this, Mary, 4 times. We get it. We are not going to mention Larry Blake. We are not going to mention Eileen Jansen. We are not going to mention Hilton Socher. We are not going to mention Frank Wilcox. We are not going to mention Douglas Evans. We are not going to mention Lyle Littell.
I want to mention Don C. Harvey.
Damn it!
Because he was in a movie called The Werewolf.
He was in another movie.
The Werewolf in 1956. I don't ever
The
remember.
Werewolf.
The Werewolf in 1956. I'd never heard of that one.
I'm sitting here trying to remember a movie called The Werewolf from the 50s.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm not going to try that hard. We're done. We're done here, Mary.
Okay.
There are no more actors in this film. I banned us from talking about any more actors in this film.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Mary. What's that? There are more actors in the film? No, there aren't. Moving on.
Okay.
She had another half hour to go. She was ready.
Serious.
Yeah. Okay, Mary. At this point, the podcast is already longer than the film.
Okay. At this point,
Let's
I
just
should
bear
take a
that in
break
mind.
and just pick up all the balls that are still rolling around on the floor.
Let your balls be, Mary. You'll go blind if you keep picking them up. On that weird note.
Hey, you went there.
Hey, you're the one playing with your balls constantly during the podcast.
Okay. Did you know his wife, Bert I. Gordon's wife, worked with him? Flora M. Gordon. She worked with him on this movie and a whole lot of other stuff. I didn't know that she did that.
Well, that's good.
Mm-hmm. She contributed to the production of most of the first 17 films that he did. Then they got divorced in 1979.
That's probably because she worked with him too much. What's the secret to a good marriage?
Mr. Big was
not
ready
working
for
with
his
your spouses
midlife
that
crisis.
much.
He went and bought a Corvette and a pair of New Balances.
That's it.
Anyway.
Hmm.
She was the first woman, one of the first to be accepted as a member of the Directors Guild of America.
Now, that's actually pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, actually, that is.
Mm-hmm. She's a pretty heavy-duty force to reckon with at this point. She must have been the power behind the Mr. Big.
Well,
he used to come to the Monster Bash a lot.
Yeah.
Because I remember, and then after his daughter died, I don't think he really came much after that.
Well,
But
also,
the three
the
of
man
us will
was
be at
pushing
Monster Bash this
100.
year in June.
What'd you say?
Yeah.
We'll be at Monster Bash this year, the three of us.
Yeah, I will. Nick's not saying a word.
I'm not saying a word because I'm not sure yet.
I'm not sure when it is.
June.
No, I think it's in July.
It is in July, I think.
Let me check my calendar. I have it here in front of me.
Oh, okay.
Yes, folks, no one will be admitted during the exciting Bill checks his calendar scene of the B-Movie
I know.
Cast.
Yes, it is. It's July 18th through the 21st. I stand corrected. I have the hotel booked, and I'll be driving there. So stay tuned for more exciting updates.
Okay. Is it at the same hotel it was in last time?
Yes.
Okay.
Is
And
that
the week
Marriott?
before, I will be at G-Fest, and the week after, or 2 weeks after, I'll be at Pulp Fest.
Wow.
Holy
I will
festivals,
be, This is
Batman.
a
You're
great
hitting them
convention
all.
year for me, man. I'm excited.
Man.
My wife gave me the thumbs up for 2024. She's like, go. You go now.
Oh. Well, you make sure to bring Amy back some good souvenirs.
Oh, she doesn't like stuff like that.
Like I said, Yeah, you make sure to bring Amy back a good bottle of wine.
Yes.
I'll just come back. I think that will make her happy.
That's true.
Bring her back some good Pittsburgh food. It's some good ethnic food in Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's one of the main reasons.
I was going to say it won't keep Mary.
It does. I bring a cooler with me. Big giant cooler packed with ice.
I know Nick and I were eyeballing going to G-Fest together, so we'll see what happens with Monster Bash. We'll see if Fiona gives him a hall pass.
Yeah. It's possible.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's a combination of Fiona and me being able to get off work enough. But anyway, what's that noise? Oh, yeah, it's me doing the plot for the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, Mary, do you want to talk about somebody that was seen in passing during a scene?
No, I don't. I'm not talking. Okay. I'm not talking anymore tonight.
She has been properly chastised.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anything.
We'll buy
Don't
that.
you promise us anything you can't keep.
I'm not talking.
You're talking?
What's that noise? It's Mary not talking. Hey.
All right. Hit it, Nick.
All right. So you got a couple of kids making out in a car, and that immediately causes any psycho killers, giant monsters, aliens, whatever happens to be in the area, it's going to show up and abduct, kill, or all of the above your kids making out in a car. So in this one, the film opens, the kids are making out, and the girl doesn't seem to be that into it, but, she's got her eyes shut, and of course she opens her eyes just in time to see something looming above the car. And, I get the feeling if she hadn't opened her eyes, the cricket would have just sat there and watched her, because it was kind of voyeuring. But they don't show what did it. That's the thing. It's sort of like Jaws. You don't see the giant crickets until much further into it. And yes, I know they were grasshoppers. I'm still going to call them crickets. I don't care.
And in the continuity point, you didn't hear it either.
That's true. And they were very loud at other times
later
in the movie.
On,
yeah, because you always heard them before you saw them.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, that's a good point. I hadn't thought about that. But anyway, so you got these now deceased kids making out in the car, and we cut to some, state police driving around in Illinois, rural Illinois, as they do, and eagle-eyed cop sees something amiss on the side of the road, so they pull over, and it turns out that it's that same car, but it's been torn open like a cheap can of sardines. And the police are like, what's going on here? I don't know. So they radio it in, and they were able to find the kid's ID for the boy. And it's like, he's a resident of Ludlow. Maybe we should check out Ludlow. So they leave one cop there and to wait for the detectives, and the other cop drives on up the road to Ludlow. Well, flash forward to all the detectives are standing around trying to figure out what's going on, and they say, hey, we haven't heard from Bob or whatever his name was. Let's call him in and see, So they radio him up, and he's like, my God, you better get help here quick. Everybody's gone. The whole town's destroyed. And now bear in mind, for both of these scenes, everything that happened off camera.
Mm-hmm.
So that's brilliant because it allows you, the audience, to project your idea of what's happened. And, if you go to the movie poster for beginning of the end, it has at least the one I've seen, has a giant cricket on it, but it's also got fangs. So I don't know necessarily if you would have thought it was a cricket. Maybe you thought it was an alien. Maybe you thought it was something else. But the movie poster really doesn't give away what exactly the giant creature is. It just has big fangs and it's carrying a woman off. Because, of course it is. They're always carrying a scantily clad woman
That's why they're
off.
here, are women.
That was
Patricia
Patricia
it.
Dean.
Mars needs women, and so do giant crickets. But anyway, so flash forward again, And now we've got Audrey Ames, our plucky
yeah.
little photojournalist, driving down the road in her convertible with a mobile phone in it, of all things. But she's just driving down the road and she's going somewhere, but she comes across a roadblock. And she's like, I need to get through. And they're like, no, sorry, you got to turn around. So she starts turning around. And then she's like, you know what? I'm Aubrey Ames, and I'm just gonna get out and go tell this Army guy what's what, and that I'm with the National Wire Service. And so she goes over and tells him. He's like, sorry, ma'am, you still got to drive on. Well, being plucky as she is, she doesn't take no for an answer, and she goes.
She went to the Jimmy Olsen School of Photography.
Exactly. Only instead of Superman showing up to save her, it's another Army guy that shows up and takes her camera away. Oh, kind of sad. But this is the point where she's seen something. And again, the audience isn't sure what she's seen, but she's like, okay, let me talk to your superior officer. So he directs her to this very well-established office, apparently somewhere up the road where all the Army guys are hanging out. And let me just say, there are as many people in this office that she goes to as they had manning the roadblock leading into Ludlow. I mean, that really, if that was the only road, they weren't doing a great job blocking it, I guess, because they only had like 5 guys there. But anyway, this is the point, by the way, where Audrey Ames, her reputation precedes her. And so the captain she's talking to actually is like, hey, I read your book on the Korean War, and wow, that was really good. And I think this is kind of a little give and take going on there, but if she didn't have such a good reputation, she probably would have just been given the cold shoulder. But instead, the guy's like, okay, look, promise you won't release anything till we're ready. And she's like, of course I promise, because this was back when the media had ethics. And so, she
gives him her word.
And it means
he just
something.
turns over. He really just gives her everything that she asked.
Yeah. He's like, here, have you seen these classified documents? Yeah, let's go. And he tells her, the whole town of Ludlow, all 150 residents are missing. The town has been destroyed. The buildings are leveled, and there's no evidence of any of the bodies. And, they're talking no bits and pieces of bodies, no live people, just everybody's gone. And they're like, well, what's going on there? So she's very curious too. And they actually let her go in and take some photos. And, good job, Bert I. Gordon, for getting a hold of some stock footage of a tornado that went through Kansas, it looks like. Mm-hmm. But, whatever the case, it's good stock footage of a destroyed town. I am going to say, okay, town with 150 residents. The stock footage they showed looked like it went through a much bigger town than a town of 150 people,
Central Florida trailer park, yeah.
Exactly. There was a whole lot of wreckage there. But anyway, so she gets back and she's like, wonder what else is going on up the road. And she thinks that, the Army's covering up for something. She actually goes up the road and talks to the Department of Agriculture because they have an experimental farm up the road. And what I really like about this, she shows up, and that's when we meet Dr. Wainwright. We meet our big guy, Peter Graves, and his assistant, who was, God, what was that guy's name?
Frank.
He was, Frank
the deaf mute.
Frank the deaf mute, which I don't know why they made him a deaf mute, but I thought it was a cute touch to the character. But anyway, Frank's there, Ed Wainwright's there, Peter Graves with his buddy Frank, and they're doing their research. And there's all these giant tomatoes. And she walks in and she starts talking to them. And it's this weird thing where for a whole bit of the conversation, she doesn't even mention the giant tomatoes that are all around them. And then she, it slips over to that, and he's like, well, yes, we've developed these huge tomatoes.
You can't eat them, but they're here.
Yeah. Now, here's what was really ominous. she starts saying, well, did you have any problems with pests, anything weird going on? And he starts listing things. And locusts / grasshoppers were like the third or fourth thing he lists. I mean, he was talking about centipedes, he was talking about rats, he was talking about some other stuff. It's like Bert I. Gordon was just, or the screenwriter anyhow, I guess Fred Frelberger was just salt and pepper in this in case they did well with it to make more movies. Because it's like, okay, the giant tomatoes resulted in these, but hey, these weren't the only things that got in here and ate it. We had other pests that got in and ate them too. But anyway, they really do kind of say, okay, not much going on here, but hey, there was this warehouse over this area and it got destroyed before Ludlow. Hey, let's go check it out. So Frank, the deaf mute, Ed, and Audrey all hop in Audrey's car and go tootling down the road to check it out. And when they get there, Peter Graves is like, wow, it looks like this thing was exploded from the inside out. And okay, best death scene ever. Frank is wandering around on his own. Audrey and Peter Graves start hearing the telltale noise of the locust.
The leg warbling, as I wrote in my notes.
The leg warbling, but that's a good way to put it, actually.
You're welcome.
But the giant crickets attack, and they just eat Frank. And poor old Frank is there screaming, and it's
he's not screaming, he's silent screaming. Remember,
exactly.
He can't.
It's just him with his mouth open.
How did they miss just one grasshopper the size of a freaking Sopwith camel? Did they not see it standing next to it?
Okay. That's the thing. Those grasshoppers were incredibly stealthy, apparently. Because, I mean, they got up on those kids making out in the car. They
it's
snuck
like the
in on
giant
the
Gila
town.
monster gave classes in sneaking up on, it's just so unbelievable. It's hilarious, but I love it. But.
Well, yeah. And by the way, I just want to say the unbelievable portion isn't that they're giant grasshoppers. It's that they're quiet.
Yes.
But anyway, so Frank gets it. And, Dr. Wainwright and Audrey go back to the military guys, and the military guys are like, oh, you're crazy, because that's what they always say. But
they do.
Then, of course,
I was expecting one of them give her a good Sean Connery-sized slap to the face to quit her from being so hysterical. But, she had Peter Graves backing her up. And
he's like, but I'm a doctor. And that was the other thing. He was an entomologist, so he was an insect guy.
Mm-hmm.
But he was working on giant plants. Okay, whatever. Anyway, that was very convenient. So anyway, they convince the general. So the general sends a squad with them to look at the wreckage, and all of a sudden they see the giant crickets, and there's a big machine gun fight, and apparently, small arms fire does nothing to these guys because they are not stopped at all.
They've got exoskeletons.
That's it. It's their big old exoskeletons. So the grasshoppers advance. Peter Graves and Audrey head back to command and flash forward, and the military's calling in all, they've got troops coming in and tanks and flamethrowers, and there's a really good scene, actually, stock footage of some kind of armored vehicle that's just zipping down the road with flames shooting out of it. And all I'm thinking is, man, that was just not a very nice piece of military equipment. Just drives down the road and napalms everybody it comes across. But
with extreme prejudice, yeah.
Yeah, but apparently even the napalm tank couldn't stop them, because Urbana, Illinois falls and a couple other major towns, and they've set the defensive line right outside of Chicago. And we actually have a pretty fun little scene where the Army guys are, fighting the grasshoppers, and there's a whole lot of stock footage of artillery being fired that's tied in with the grasshoppers and with the guys being the Army guys. And, you know, apparently they're just not doing that good a job keeping the grasshoppers out of town. But fortunately, the temperature drops. And that means the grasshoppers get sleepy. So all the grasshoppers kind of hunker down, take a chill for a little while it's cold. And Peter Graves is explaining to them, well, hey, you know, when it's below 57 degrees or whatever, these guys are not going to be very active. They're going to kind of hibernate. But if you attack them, they will wake right up and come after you. This is just them being a little lazy because it's cold. And so they say, okay, well, what are we going to do? We got to stop them. The general's like, I'm going to drop a nuke on Chicago because I've wanted to nuke Chicago for a long time. It's like he's looking for an excuse. You know?
It's like he had that one in the chamber for a while. It's like, gosh, I hope something goes wrong in Chicago.
Yeah, we're gonna nuke Chicago. So Wainwright, he's like, okay, let me try something. I need to get a locust. So he gets one of the locusts. They manage to capture one, and they put it in a giant cage in the office.
And they're going to polygraph it.
Yeah.
I wanted to see how they got that giant locust from point A to point B. You know, they kind of glossed over that where they're like having to lift that thing up, an unconscious locust, and put it on a flatbed truck and strap it down and drive it to the lab. And somehow they have this magic large cage with a magical lined floor where they're going to polygraph it and ask it if it likes to watch Melrose Place. And you know, Papa General, he's like, I just want to blow stuff up. Come on.
Yeah, he's like, I've got my nuke warmed up. Come on. But unfortunately for the general, Peter Graves does figure out how to elicit the mating call of the giant locust.
Yeah.
And once they get all hot and bothered by the mating call, he knows that they'll follow that sound anywhere. So he starts leading them through Chicago. And this is the bit where you were talking about the Chamber of Commerce, because they're like, and they're at the Wrigley building, and they're at this, and they're at that.
They were just dropping just little locations left and right. The one I wrote down was, they're at the corner of Wacker and State, you know. Who knows where that is, but
it was perfect for making sure that you established that it was in Chicago.
Yeah.
And I know folks who watched the movie.
Verisimilitude, yeah.
Yeah. And the folks in Chicago were probably like, hey, I used to live there. Hey, you know, I hang out there or whatever. So, so good job, guys. But anyway, Peter Graves runs the noise from the building they're in. So the giant locusts are climbing up the Wrigley building, and you know, we get some exciting scenes of locusts being knocked off the building, which is, as Mary said, just, you know, Bert I. Gordon with a hairdryer blowing them off of the picture. But then did
you notice the one grasshopper who was climbing up the side of the building? And in one room with curtains open, there's a very shapely blonde getting changed, and the grasshopper just kind of pauses.
Yeah.
I'm not going to kill her yet, but let me just see where this goes, you know? Which brings us back to the voyeuristic nature of giant locusts.
Well, and I think it's the voyeuristic nature of any giant insect, because this is a common theme in some other ones. But yeah, and remember, at the beginning of the movie, giant locusts didn't attack those two kids making out in the car until the girl saw him. Same thing.
I think I saw
lady.
something in Wikipedia where that girl who was undressing was like another Miss Cheesecake, or, you know, some sort of bombshell who won the contest to appear in the film, or, you know, she was dating one of the producers. Like, sure, babe, I'll put you in pictures and just take your clothes off and pretend there's a giant grasshopper looking at you, or something like that.
Well, okay.
Is she the girl in the towel?
Do what?
Is she the girl
I think so,
in the towel?
Yeah, the girl in the towel.
That was Patricia Dean.
There you go.
She's the one on the poster.
Is she the one being chewed on in the poster?
The two-piece red outfit laying on the ground?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I just looked up the poster, and yeah, there she is. Okay. And there's Peter Graves with a pistol because he's Peter Graves. But anyway, so the mating call worked. The general's out in a boat, and so they lead the grasshoppers to a watery death. And that leads me to imagine thousands and thousands of giant locust corpses floating in the in the lake.
The Department of Sanitation unit is like, don't look at us, man.
Yeah, for real. And this was when the idea of the Orcan army really came into its own. I'm just saying.
So what happens if the fish eat the dead locusts? Do they turn?
Oh my God! Then you got the fish that ate Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And also, our plucky, intrepid photographer somehow during this stressful situation manages to fall in love with our nerdy Peter Graves. She's like, "Oh no, Big Daddy, I'm staying here with you. If we're gonna get nuked, we're gonna get nuked together." Like, okay, there's some trauma bonding going on here.
Yeah, well, my thought is she was really staying with him to get the story of how he was going to be blamed for everybody's death and end up in prison for his poor ethics and poor control of his scientific experiment.
Yeah, I thought it was also funny when he's like, because I think it was something about radiation that led her from point A to point B to go interview him. And she went back for the second time. She's like, "Are you doing something with radiation?" And he opens this like cheap little cabinet and these little jars said, radiation, do not eat or something like that.
Yeah.
He's like, "They're right here. It's perfectly under control." And he closes the door again.
Yeah, and you're right. It was like somebody's kitchen cabinet, but inside of it was these lead-lined casks. I mean, dear Lord. It's and they wonder how Doc Brown got his radioactive material for the time machine DeLorean. Well, he should have gone to see Peter Graves instead of the
Department of
terrorists.
Agriculture was woefully unfunded at this point in time.
Yeah.
You keep him in the paint cabinet over there.
Oh man. So anyway, beginning of the end, an interesting title for the film.
They did name check it. Remember, he was like, "And if these locusts get out of control and start taking over the United States, it is the beginning of the end."
Dun, dun, dun.
Pretty much.
No. And that's a good title because it doesn't necessarily give away at all what the monster is, the big bad.
Mm-mm.
You kind of know what you're getting into when you got Earth versus the Spider or, Empire of the Ants or something like that.
Yeah.
But with beginning of the end, it could be aliens, it could be science gone wrong, it could be just nuclear
global warming.
Holocaust.
Who knows?
Yeah. Cats and dogs living together.
In the streets.
No, but I enjoyed the hell out of this movie.
Fun. It's
super fun.
Any monster kid worth their salt it is what it says on the tin. Pop some popcorn, sit down on a Saturday afternoon, give it a whirl. It's 72 minutes.
It's fun.
It's well worth it. Absolutely.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. And it had Peter Graves. So, Mary?
Yes.
Do we have any feedback?
Yes, we do.
We do?
All right.
Well, what's
we do.
Feedback?
First one is from Paul White from Canada. And he says, "You ding dong." Yep, The Last Dinosaur from 1977. That's why I wondered why he wrote that.
Yep, that's why.
Okay, that makes sense now. Okay. I thought he was just calling me a ding dong for some reason.
Well, possibly.
Okay, next one is from Pete Steema. Says Last Dinosaur in 1977. Says, "Hi Mary, hi Pete. Have you seen The Fabelmans? Way better than I thought it would be. Your old pal Pete Steema."
Oh yeah, The Fabelmans. That's basically the Steven Spielberg autobiographical pick.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I've just
It's supposed to be really good.
Great.
It
but
is.
I just haven't
Check it out.
seen it yet. Cool.
2 thumbs up. Highly recommend it.
Cool. The next one is from Troy Date. He says, "Hi, Mary. Last Dinosaur, 1977. Hope you have a great Halloween." That's how long ago these have been. Love the latest podcast on one of my all-time favorites, Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman. You guys did a great job with all the behind-the-scenes information. That Lon sure was a tricky character, injecting his oranges with vodka. Here's a Halloween painting I did after listening to the podcast. And I posted it. It's really good. I've been having issues with my email, so I apologize if you received 2 of these from me. Take care, Mary, and may the healing be swiftly. Okay. And that's Troy. That was a good...
Well,
I think we should make a T-shirt or something like that.
All right.
Yeah. And something from Santitito. He won one of the Hot Wheels cars. It was the 1974 Corvette Stingray, and it had all Day of the Dead stuff on it. And he wanted to thank me because it arrived on the Day of the Dead in Mexico. And I didn't even plan that. It actually arrived on the Day of the Dead.
Okay, that is pretty cool, actually.
That is neat.
That is. Okay, next one is from Marlo. Ooh, next 2 are from Marlo. Okay. "Hi, Mary and the gang at the B Movie Clubhouse. The film is The Last Dinosaur from 1977. The title popped into my head when I saw Richard Boone in a safari jacket. Good, cheesy fun. I saw it on TV as a kid, and it evidently made an impression on me. A great actor. Mr. Boone had a small but very memorable part in John Wayne's last movie, The Shootist. As your librarian, I am legally bound to let everyone know that The Last Dinosaur can be had from Amazon on DVD. It's also on archive.org. The link is okay. Nick's going to have to post this one. I didn't think to look on archive.org for this movie. I wonder if it's on there.
Probably is.
It's probably
is. I didn't think about it either, frankly.
It'd be good because then you could watch without commercials.
Mm-hmm.
I'd also like to commend the great Bill Mize on his appearance on episode 517. Woo!
Aha.
He really added to the discussion, and he has an amazing, awesome voice. Yes.
Thank you, Marlo.
As a longtime fan of the Call of Cthulhu game, I can recommend Bill's humorous and engaging YouTube channel, which can be found by looking for the words Bill Plays Cthulhu.
Yes.
CTHULHU, for those of you who don't know how to spell Cthulhu. I used to play in a modern campaign with the character Dirty Bob Grundman, a biker who learns way too much about the old ones.
Nice.
Okay, that one went right over my head. I'm not a gamer, but it sounds like you do. So,
yeah.
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 Have a wonderful Halloween. Bye, Mary.
Bye, Marlo. Thank you.
Bye,
Thank you for your
Marlo.
kind words.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, he's from Texas. He's been trying to figure out how to get a family of chupacabras out from under the backyard deck. Oh, wait. Those are skunks. For real. Oh, man. How do you get rid of skunks without them stinking everything up?
Very carefully.
Yeah.
Calling the Ghostbusters. I don't know.
That's the wrong thing, Mary.
She's tired.
Yes,
Mary needs to be put down for a nap. I think
Yes,
she's
I
getting tired.
do. This last one again is from Marlo. It says, "Hi, Mary, Nick, Mark Mostyn, and all et al. I just wanted to send along a photo of the Santitito prize package along with a few comments on episode 518. First, I want to thank Ken for his amazing generosity and very good taste. I look forward to some fascinating reading. I love the Return of the Living Dead. and some great movie watching. His contributions to the Monster Kid Radio podcast are also great fun. The B-Movie Cast and Derek's Monster Kid Radio both give me good ideas of B-movies to look for. Your episode on Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman was a lot of fun to listen to, and Mark was a fabulous guest. As always, I especially enjoyed Mark's tales of his new abode and the great details about the making of the film. It was an epic cast, and I highly recommend it to anyone who hasn't heard it yet. We're enjoying fall in San Antonio. The summer heat is finally gone, and some welcome rains have come. I found out that the San Antonio River even has water running in it sometimes. Who knew? Wow. Please give my best regards to everyone. I always look forward to another B-Movie Cast episode. Bye, Mary. Bye, Marlo.
Bye, Marlo.
From the haunted borderlands of South Texas.
Watch out for those skunky chupacabras.
Oh, man. Oof. That would be something Kitty would finally decide to attack.
Well, and that's why Kitty would smell.
Mm-hmm. She runs away from everything else or just looks at it, but I'm sure if a skunk came in the yard, she'd attack it.
Of course.
Of course. Yeah.
Because smell.
Because it's funny looking and should have to go explore. Anyway, that's it. It's
nice.
all over.
Well, honk my hooters and call me Mary. You know what? That's a wrap for the podcast.
Woo-hoo!
That is.
Well, thank you very much for coming on, Bill.
Yes.
You're very welcome. Always glad to come out of podcasting retirement and help pull your fat out of the fire, so to speak, when Juan wasn't feeling well.
Yeah.
And we'll keep you in mind for all giant monster bugs.
Or Bert I. Gordon things, anything. I'm game for anything, you know that. I love y'all, and
That's
I love hanging out. I love our discussions.
And I just love listening to your voice. It's very soothing.
I'm looking forward to Monster Bash next year.
Yes.
I'm really looking forward to seeing a lot of folks in person again.
Yeah. It's been a long time.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, folks.
Adios.
Have a good evening.
Have a good night. God bless y'all. Take care.
Bye-bye.
You too, brother.
Adios, Mafia.
Well, they've gone.
For good, Joe?
No, just for now. It wasn't the right time for us to meet. But there'll be other nights, other stars for us to watch. They'll be back.
The ghosts are moving tonight, restless, hungry.
All right, fellas, here's your story.
Greetings, my friend. We are all interested in the future, for that is where you and I are going to spend the rest of our lives. And we cannot keep this a secret any longer.
Wait, Captain. I have found evidence of intelligent beings on this planet.
Look to the skies. It's the B-Movie Cookbook. Menus inspired by 15 of your favorite B-movies from the 1950s, with teenage werewolves, blobs, and enough cheese for everyone.
When we return to our planet, the High Court may well sentence you to torture.
But until then, we've got Ed Wood and Vincent Price.
There'll be food and drink and ghosts, and perhaps even a few murders. You're all invited.
So impress your friends with dinner and a movie with the B-Movie Cookbook. We've got you covered. Get your copy today at bmoviecookbook.com. That's bmoviecookbook.com.
Let me see that book. I am interested to see what sways your mind so heavily.
Sure thing. Just visit bmoviecookbook.com.
Anybody around here want some coffee?
Transmission.
The good guys always win, even in the 80s.